For 2 feet?
Yeah, my snow blower's ready.
My head's not.
I vote for 2 inches.
I vote for none.
Really?
I'm with you.
We could be done. It'd be fine.
I mean, I like snow. I like it to snow. I'm okay done.
We're
Yeah, I
good.
feel like we did the winter thing. It's done. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Not a long enough year. It can be over.
And we did it
Yep.
well. We did a good
Yes,
job. of winter.
absolutely. My best winter ever.
Because you got out in it.
Best
Sure.
ever in 2021. That's saying something.
Yep.
Really?
You know, I wonder
Hallelujah.
if that's not a common theme. I mean, difficult as it was in all the ways it was. I'd say Tom and I took better advantage than we have in other years. We got out more, we did more. Meaning we always came back to our own house. Hmm?
You had more time.
Well,
Right?
no, we did a weekend. You had more time, but also you had nothing else to do.
Right. Which made you have more time.
Yeah, couldn't go anywhere else and stuff. So yeah, it was. I sort of would agree with that, Anna.
Ellie.
So, got everybody? Nobody waiting?
Nobody
Hail,
waiting?
hail.
I just let Allison, she was the last one waiting.
Mhm.
Oh, Jake is waiting. I'm gonna admit Jake. No one else waiting.
So you ready to call the meeting to order, everybody? Okay. Let's call this meeting to order. It's a special village board meeting that there's 2 items on the agenda. We're meeting via video conference as authorized by Governor Cuomo, executive order initially 20215, and now we are up to 202.96. The first item to be considered, I was asked to put this on the agenda tonight, an outdoor rink proposal. I know that Carol has circulated some information to the board about what's being proposed for the outdoor rink. And we just wanted to make sure we had all had a conversation about that. If there were any questions, get them answered, and then we'll move forward. Carol, you want to?
Sure. I think that I really all the information that I wanted to share is in the memo that I sent to everybody. I did invite Jake and Tim to be here if they wanted to be, just to answer any questions if you have them. I guess the couple things I'd like to say about this are following our reimagining recreation sessions and conversations. This just seems like to be such a good and appropriate offshoot of everything that came out of that. The direction people are interested in, the engagement people are interested in, the enthusiasm people have. I think, frankly, the attention they're paying to what our resources are and what they could be. So I appreciate that they have been patient and that they came forward. The idea is that they'll refurbish that outdoor rink, which is really a mess right now. They do have multi-purpose uses in mind, ice and roller skating, box lacrosse, basketball, if we're able to bring hoops in. They estimate that the cost will be about $35,000, and they have raised about half of that. They'll be doing the fundraising through Canton Minor Hockey since that's already established. You know, there have been other thoughts of other uses for that space, including a skate park. We don't want to let go of that idea, but think that while we have the head of steam for this project, we should, and a public community that wants to do it, I would like to propose that we give them the go ahead to do it. That's really all. Everything else was in this email I sent. So if anybody has questions, or Jake, if you have anything else you want to add to that.
I think you covered everything I would have. Just happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Jake, that's pretty much going to have to be pulled right apart and started over again, or?
So what I've gathered from the person who has the estimate for the project is that a lot of the metal framing that the boards are attached to will probably be able to continue to be used, but all of the boards themselves will have to come down and pretty much start over from scratch there. But as far as I know, the metal framing, most of it should be salvageable and be able to be used.
Okay.
So we did talk about the one question mark that they had, who Marty and I met with, and Martha, was Jake and Tim Applenapp. It's no big surprise. Dan Fay's the one who has the sort of the plan and has been working with some people on this. The one question mark we had, it's a question mark for them because this is on them, but will be a part of the expense of the project, is disposing of what's there. All those boards, when they're taken down, will need to be disposed of somehow. We had all kinds of fundraising ideas, have the Canton Bears sign them and sell them and stuff.
Yeah. Dan or Tim Applenapp's also of the mind that Casella may be willing to donate some landfill space to allow us to dump those at little to no cost. So he's going to look into that as well. He's going to really kind of be the head of this project. I kind of just helped organize everybody, and I'm helping kind of facilitate from the back end.
The one of the exciting things to me is I mean, Jake has had a group of people who are interested in this and have been sort of mobilizing, and Tim has. So this is really a multi-community effort. It's sort of bringing together a few groups to work on it.
I definitely appreciate the idea and the efforts that are being made, because I've been concerned about that spot and the safety of it. So to see it, you know, to have a plan to move forward and make that a safer space, I think is really great.
It's a leg up on some of the ideas that people have and the plans we hope we can have for just improving that whole area so that it looks better and is more user-friendly, community-friendly for all ages. So if there are no, I would like to propose that we give the community groups that are working on this the go-ahead.
I would second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't look like it. No? You got the go ahead, Jake.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, Jake.
That was easy.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for popping in, Jake.
No problem. Have a good night,
But
guys.
Jake, you don't want to stay for our budget meeting? Come on.
I'm good. I sat through enough of those for 2.5 years. I think I'm all right for another 10.
They were pretty exciting.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
You too, thanks.
Bye.
Okay, the second item on the agenda is the board discussion and planning session for the 2021-22 budget, which is to include water and sewer rates. I'll start off by just highlighting very briefly my budget message that Sally and I put together. This is the tentative budget that has been distributed to all of you. This proposed budget represents a 1 penny per thousand decrease in the tax rate. It's a decrease of 0.14% from last year. It represents an increase in the tax levy, which is 1.20%, which keeps us under the 1.31 tax cap. At this point, there's no proposal for water and sewer rates at this time. We continue to pay back the monies owed to the general fund from the Main Street improvements. And we will keep an eye, especially on the water fund, as we start down the path of this first quarter of billing. There's several reasons why that number is down a little bit this past year. Sally can explain that better, but it had to do with the COVID situation that we're in, and colleges not being in session, and people not using water the way normally we get. So, I'm not going to rehash everything else in that message, but with that being said, Sally has done a lot of work on this. We've sat and talked to our department heads, extensively about this, and here's your budget, Sally.
Thank you. I think we start just by going section by section, probably be the easiest way to proceed.
That works for me.
First section, and just so you know, this is a tentative budget. So then what would happen is any changes the board decides to make tonight would be made, and then the next budget will be the preliminary budget, and that's what will be presented at the public hearing.
And just as a reminder, our next meeting will be on April 14th, beginning at 6:30.
So the section 1, first page, is the summary of budget by funds, which shows you appropriations total for each fund and less revenues. So what happens is in the general fund, that these are the revenues that we're pretty sure are coming in. So the rest is what has to be raised by taxes. So then that number is divided by the estimated assessed value. And that's how the tax rate is come up with. Next sheet, just so you have some idea. So for every addition or subtraction of $10,000 would make a 6-cent change in the tax rate. So just to give you some perspective. I did the next sheet I added this year, just so you have some idea, because I'm giving you in the budget message, we told you what percentage of our budget is payroll and benefits. And so I wanted to give you a breakdown by fund of each of those categories. Next sheet is a tax rate history. As you can see, we stayed pretty steady. No big fluctuations. The next sheet is the property tax cap that's provided by the state comptroller's office. Last year it was 1.78. And as you can see, this year it's only 1.31. I also like to include the next page, which is a list of other village taxes, so you have some idea where we fall with our tax rates. The next sheet is our sales tax revenues. I usually give you this quarterly as we receive our sales tax payments. Just, this is a big part of our revenues. It's 28% of our total revenues. So it's a big chunk of our budget. That's why we keep such a close eye on it. Any questions?
We still haven't received. some for
last
this-
quarter.
The last for this year, the last quarter, correct?
Right.
Okay,
So we'll get that in May.
okay.
I have a question. I had to unmute. The over under in that column, that's from 2019-20 to 2020-21. That's the calculate. Okay.
Yes. So right now we're ahead, I think it was $23,000, I think it was. Yeah.
Which is really quite something.
Mhm. And as gas prices rise, I'm anticipating that we may be a little bit ahead of last year. Section 2, which gives us a comparison of last year's budget appropriations and revenues totals and the tax rates. And you can see the 1.2%, that's the amount, the tax levy cap, where we are. One of the.
So what accounts for that really big change in water, the water fund?
Well, there are some reallocations of labor from water to sewer, because sewer is currently they are doing better financially. So there were some reallocations of labor, and with labor goes health insurance, retirement. That's the major part of it.
So
There
that's
was also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's just a juggling?
That's a juggling, but also there was a large dollar amount in there, and I think it was 140,000. We'll know better when we get to for engineering work, and so that was reduced this year also.
Cool.
So on this, Sally, on the estimated unreserved fund balance for May 31st, 2021, does that figure change by comparison?
It does. It is up a little bit this year for sewer and general, but of course we're not. This is just estimated because we still have 2 months left to the year.
Okay.
And actually it's based on the end of February. So this does not include, I use the expenses and revenues through the end of February on your sheets. So it'll change a little bit, should not change, big deal. The next sheet I include is our assessment roll history. And as you can see, our tax exempt property is up a little bit this year. But luckily the total assessment is also up. So that helped us out.
Is that because of reassessments?
I don't know, because they're doing the reassessments now. And what happens with the village is we're based on the town's last year tax roll. So that really won't kick in for us until next year. The next 2 sheets, I'm required to prepare these. If you want, Cindy can give you detail on these. I take these right directly from the tax roll. She would have to give you a list of who's included in each category. But it breaks down the percentage of tax exempt property.
Is there a way to know in which category we saw the increase?
I could get you a copy of last year's.
Oh, well, that would, I would have a copy of last
Yeah,
year's.
so that would show you the
Yep,
change.
okay, that would make sense.
Increase or decrease, yeah.
Yep, okay.
The next sheet is our anticipated pilot payments. And the IDA is the Maplewood project, because that will end in 2023. The housing project is the high rise, the 2 buildings,
And that's ongoing.
right?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Any questions, any more questions on section 2?
Not yet.
Okay. So, section 3. And this is a breakdown of salary and wages. The first couple sheets are FTEs. And I told the mayor that this is my most hated page of the budget, just because there's so many part-time people and they change. It's just, it gets complicated.
Part-time and also divided up, shared.
Yes,
Mhm.
and shared. So what happens, I take all the contracts and figure out what everybody is going to make by the individual contracts. Then they're divided into water, sewer, general fund. And those are the numbers. My little color coded sheet here is how, those are how payroll is distributed. But if you follow it through to the sheets, then it'll be self-explanatory.
Okay, so the color coding,
Mhm. So if you, well, that's kind
the
of for me.
blue is,
So you take the blue on the right,
mhm,
it'll equal the 2 blue on the left.
and since
So-
those are A's,
Right,
that's all general.
that's all general. So the 1325 is the clerk's office. The 1440 is a village superintendent, and we are all divided between the 3 funds.
Mhm, mhm.
So that
Wait, say that again. Say that last part again.
we're all divided between the 3 funds. So part of my salary is paid by general fund, part by sewer fund, part by water fund.
Okay, I see. Got it.
And the F 8340. So if you go to the next sheet
Mhm.
and you go down the code column and you look F 8340. This is
Got it.
179 and then the 179. So, okay,
Mhm. I see how the colors are helpful.
yes. What I asked the mayor, and I need to follow through with the board. What I use is a 2% increase. And that can change. That was a base that we used.
2% increase for
For non-contract
contract, okay. Mhm.
and also for the village board, as you can see, the next sheet is village board. And that's what I also use for board increases.
So it's only the non-contract that we have to, and us, that we have to consider that for, because the others are all stipulated by their contracts.
By the contracts, correct.
I believe I ask a lot of the same questions every year.
That's all right.
And is that 2% in line with the other contracts, or is it variable, or is it the same as or more, I guess? I want to know.
Tends to be
But-
slightly less, depends on which year the contract they're in.
Right.
It's
Like-
we're keeping right around 2%. The thing is that there's a lot more that goes into a contract negotiation than just that wage, you know. Maybe in the case of DPW, it looks like we're set with a new contract.
Mhm.
There's some trade-offs, so
Mhm.
try to keep it right around the 2%.
It's pretty close to 2 though.
Like I think
Yeah.
that the one proposed for DPW this year is 2.5%. I
Mhm.
think the police may be 2.25%. So
Mhm.
it's
At the same time, we got them all to move to a different healthcare package.
Right.
So,
right.
that's
Right.
part of the process.
Yep.
Okay.
So does that answer your question?
I think so.
2% is in line with, where we think we need to be. You want to give everybody a bigger raise, you can hop on the bandwagon if you want.
I'm hopping.
Any questions on section 3? So section 4 is debt. As you can see, this year will be the last year for the Pavilion Ice bond and the water project bond.
Mhm.
I have to admit that when I came on this board and these things were so far out, I never imagined that I would still be here when they all got paid off. I was like, that's a long time away. That's really,
It is, but it was only 10 years ago that we owed $6.4 million.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, I'm sorry. Can we go back to section 3?
Yes,
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just takes me a minute. So,
Sorry.
this is proposed for 21-22.
correct.
I am wondering, do we not put in here what we think we might also, need in terms of hiring needs? In other words, we have open slots right now. Maybe I'm missing it, but for example, I don't see code.
Well, it is not on the sheet, but it is in the budget.
I see. Okay, so this section just only is who are in seats right
Right
now,
now.
so to speak.
As we hire for that position, changes in how we will allocate funds, a different part of the budget. We're already paying the town for part of an employee with benefits, plus we have our own employee. So, those are numbers that will move to another part of our budget, so.
Okay. I'm sure you'll tell me when we get to those
will.
numbers, so I know. Okay.
Another quick question. So police overtime, and then it says et cetera. Is that like equipment, like body cams and stuff, or what's that?
Where,
I think on that one page is,
oh, that's
That's in the-
like holiday pay.
Yeah.
Overtime, out of title pay,
Okay.
those type of things. The other thing that's in there, Beth, is a big number, is the biggest number is insurance buyouts, because they go through payroll.
Sorry,
And
say
they
it-
appear
Insurance
on that
buyouts.
line?
insurance buyouts.
insurance buyouts. Got it.
Because they have to go through payroll.
And Sally, you're saying they appear on that line that's called police overtime, et cetera?
Yes,
Mhm.
It was the et cetera that I wanted to clarify.
yeah,
That's all.
no, that's. Okay. We good?
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, so the third sheet is just showing those payments in a different way. Same information as the first two sheets. And we also pay a portion of the pumper engine 7 to the fire station, fire department each year. And as you can see, this year we're up to $30,000. The other debt that we pay to the fire department is the new building at DPW. The next two sheets are the amortization schedules for water and sewer that they owe general fund.
That water and sewer owe general.
Right. But when we did the reconstruction of Main Street,
Mhm.
this was for the betterments
yes.
that were done.
Mhm. Hmm.
Any questions on section 4? Section 5 has information that on shared services with offices with the town. The court office is relatively small amount. That includes, we have an agreement with them. It's $800 and some odd dollars a year that we pay them for assistance from the court. And the other, we have a software program, and this is the annual maintenance fee. That's really only our court fees. The next, as you can see, it says did not include any cost for the town in the next year's budget, because our plan is to have our own. But this is how it used to be figured.
Mhm.
Assessor's office, we pay 1/3 of the cost of the town's assessor's office. And historian, we pay 1/2 of that office.
We pay 1/3 of assessors, though we are not required to, correct?
That is correct.
And we pay 1/2 of historian.
That is correct.
Towns are required to have a historian, is that correct?
We are required to have a historian also, but we can contract for that service. So she's technically, we appoint her every year as
Mhm.
village or whoever, village historian, and the town appoints a historian, but it's a town service.
Yeah, got it.
I included this sheet. This is the information I received from the town in order to do my sheet. So it gives you a little bit more of a breakdown.
So that 37,900,
Mhm.
that's the full cost and we pay a third of that?
Right.
Wow.
Hmm.
We're getting a lot of bang for that buck.
Mhm.
Mm.
And what I do is when I do ours, because their budget is January through December and ours is June through May, I always add a percentage for wage increases,
Mhm.
Hmm.
Your best guess.
my best guess.
Mhm.
The next item is the recreation budget.
Okay, hold on. So you gave us that code enforcement information on that page
Yes, but that
That's
was the
just-
old,
for our information,
right. Just, and I put on there, did not include
right?
any cost
Right.
for the town. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so recreation. I think what, I know that I've talked to at least three of you regarding recreation. So what will happen with recreation is the January through December budget will end May 31st with our budget. And then recreation will become a department of the village budget. And so what will happen is it'll be prorated from this budget unless the recreation committee has some other recommendations.
Sorry,
So,
it will be prorated. Say that last part again?
Well, so it'll be, so right now, recreation is January through December,
Right.
but the January through December budget will end May 31st. Will no
Okay.
longer be its separate entity.
Okay.
It will become a department of the village.
Mm-hmm.
So what will happen is the June through December will,
June to December.
right, will go to the village budget, and the rec committee will have to get together and decide what's going to happen for the balance of the year.
Hmm.
Because it has to be a joint decision.
Right.
Town will have to say,
So,
this is what we're gonna pay.
but does that mean, Sally, that from January to December? No, from June to December, we're just gonna budget we're gonna match what the town had budgeted
Yes, at this
So-
point,
at this point.
Right.
So if
so we still have to worry at some point for January through May. And that has to be discussions between the town and the village. What's going to happen? How much is the town going to participate? What programs are we going to offer? We have to come up with the rest of the budget.
First time around, it'll be a little burdensome, but I think we'll be able to get there without too much trouble.
That's a good agenda item for the joint meeting that we have coming up.
Well, it could be an item, but you're gonna have a lot.
Going to have what?
I didn't hear that.
Well, it'll be a discussion for that, how we construct it, but you know, the rec committees are also gonna have, we've got a lot to talk about on the rec committee,
Yeah, we do.
We sure do.
so.
And they're a member down, which is worrisome. So, but in the meantime, Sally, in our 21-22 budget, it will just have nothing for the second half of the year. We'll amend the budget in December.
Well, hopefully we amend it before then. So what I'm going to put in for the year is what's left of the rec budget. but that will be amended depending on what your conversations are. And what both boards
So we
approve.
basically need to agree between the town and the village, what we're gonna do for a budget moving forward to impact how we proceed.
Which theoretically we were always supposed to be doing, but
Correct.
a lot of us didn't understand that. The only thing that's really changing now is that we're doing it for our budget year because it's going to be a department budget.
Right.
But it really is that the rec committee needs to make a recommendation to both the village and the town boards on what the
Process should be.
the process and the annual budget and how much they're going to put in. Okay.
Right.
How much we're both gonna put in.
Huh.
And that's a multi-layered conversation,
We're
as
gonna,
Beth
we're
and I
gonna go
know.
to our budget schedule on this, not theirs.
Right.
Understood, but we have to cooperate in terms of conversation to figure out what that overall budget's going to be so that we know how it's going to impact both budgets.
Very possible we can take what we have and flip it so that it comes out. We could do that, but there are some things we're going to be facing that you need to talk about with, the group.
And those are
Well-
coming up under equipment. Yeah.
Under
but-
equipment and personnel.
And personnel, I mean, the
Right.
thing is that this change in how we're budgeting, which I'm delighted about, coincides with our, redirection and in rec. So, and the thing that's tough is that, we need to convince the town board. We had 2 town members of the recreation committee who, understood the picture fully and were supportive of that. I just don't know how that's going to look now.
Well, won't know.
I know that's our.
Would it help if we
Talk.
came up, like the rec committee and maybe the mayor, myself, would it help if we came up with a proposed budget to present to the town committee as a,
Or for you to present to the town committee.
I think we need to, the rec committee needs to, we have a staffing recommendation
Mhm.
that we're, working toward. There's some other things that have come out in this, so I think we need to start there. I think we need to look at what's, yeah.
We
It-
do.
Man, it's a dog wagging the tail. It's a cart before the horse. It's every one of those cliches you can think of. It's all of those. But we got to figure it out.
Right, and we have to have cooperative conversation to figure that out. So I guess the next step is for Carol and me to, as the rec committee, work on a proposed.
Yeah.
After we get through what we have to do here the next couple of weeks, I think Sally and I can generate a budget, what it would look like for you based on what we have now.
Right. But I
You're
hear
not-
that, but what we don't, I hope that we can get past where we are now. I'm hoping that we can, with these ideas that we've come up with, that we can generate enough interest in, having a sort of a new budget, a new look at that.
I understand that. This budget, the end of last year took a beating because of the lack of income, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I think that going forward, it'll look a lot different. Has a potential to look different because income would hopefully be back up, especially for ice rentals, because that was a real downer. So,
Right. And some of the ideas of some of the reimagining may also have some good potential for revenue. And so we just Beth and I will have to work, and it's just, I realize that I sound whiny, but with Tim gone and Martha brand new, we have, Beth and I have,
work that out for you?
yeah, it's not only a heavy lift, but a heavy pull too. We've got to really explain that. All right, I'll stop whining now.
let me just ask this, the reason that. No, never mind. I can't even fully form that thought because there's so much I don't understand about what's going on with the rec. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
We're happy to provide the best brain dump we can.
I know you will.
Mm. It's exciting. I mean, I don't want to be so, I think, a year from now, we're going to be in a really good place. That this will all be much more organized and hopefully, really on its way, but it's rocky getting there.
Yeah, it's just trying to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Mm.
On the same page at this time when things are in sort of in upheaval.
Flux, yeah.
Not upheaval, in flux. Flux is a good.
Right.
Mhm. Okay.
So are there any questions on our shared services committees?
I mean, still so many, but we have fewer.
That's true. So the next section is a general fund budget. And as you can see, before you panic, that the first line is the real property tax, and that is 0. So that's how I come up with the number is
Mhm.
is everything else less what our expenses is, that's for the tax. Has to be raised for taxes.
Kind of back in.
Yes. As long as we're talking about code, if you want to go to, it's safety inspections, 3620, page 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's on page 5,
Hang on one
halfway down
second.
the page.
If you can just give me a minute, I'm going to number my pages.
Yep.
Also, while we're numbering, can I just ask real quick, the pink and the blue or the peach and the blue?
That's really for my convenience.
Okay.
When I double check. So the blue is payroll
Okay,
for all payroll numbers, and the pink color is equipment.
thank you.
Don't like those colors in there, we'll take them out.
No, I don't mind color one bit. I just like to make sure I know what it means.
All right,
Okay, I'm numbered now, page 5.
Okay, so if you go to page 5,
Mm-hmm,
about halfway down, safety inspections.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so that is the range that we were talking about.
That is our new code.
Yes.
Mhm.
And the contractual expenses go down because we would not be paying the town any longer.
Wait a second.
So the next line down, Carol.
Oh, CE, yeah. Mhm. Why is there anything there?
I'm assuming that the person will have to have training, may have some, have to have training, they'll need office supplies, may need a computer.
Yeah.
Phone, those kind of
So
things.
that's what that's, okay, got it. Mhm.
Yes. I don't know if there's any specific questions.
Yeah, let me just, I just need to. So now. So is youth programs recreation?
Yes.
Is there a reason we can't change that to recreation?
We can change that now.
Okay, so then in here for now, you've just flatlined that or flat, whatever you call that. I
Yes,
think flatline's dead, right?
yes, because what'll have to happen is that number will have to be the whole number
Mm-hmm.
of the whole recreation department, not just half. And in revenues, we'll have to show what the town is, their participation, and also the revenues from activities.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
So
change.
those are just numbers that are sitting in there for now.
Correct.
The change we're gonna make on page 5 also on the snow removal.
Did you just say snow removal?
You look at snow removal, Department 5142.
Wait a minute, I'm not seeing that on page 5.
It's not the next page, I think.
No, I got it on 6, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6.
Not a lot of fertilizer gets used in snow removal, but we're gonna change it fertilizer, asphalt, and salt, because that's mostly our salt.
Mhm.
But does that 35,000, it does include fertilizer and asphalt too?
Well, no, well, the only thing that we'd be buying for snow removal would be salt. But what
Yes.
happens is when
There
you
might be some
set
cold
up an
patch.
account, it goes across all funds, this 43,000. So it has to be broad enough to cover all of those. So for snow removal, it will be salt.
Got it, got it.
And if we change to a different product, like wasn't Marty thinking about some organic?
Juice or
Yeah.
Pickle juice.
I was gonna
Beet
say
juice.
pickle juice, but I didn't want to
Right.
say that unless I
you could do
was.
/ pickle juice, yeah.
Right.
We may be a little ways out on that, but there'll be an opportunity to experiment, I think.
I would
I
like
mean,
to.
we could have that be, I'm just kidding. Fertilizer, asphalt, and salt / salt alternatives.
Good,
Okay,
Beet juice.
yes.
Oh, yeah, that was the other one.
Yep.
As I did include in the message, retirement costs, I know you'll be shocked, went up this year.
mhm.
But we did save on medical insurance, medical expenses because of the high deductible plan. And I'll have a better number on that, the exact amount,
Mhm.
close to the exact amount in April.
So you're talking about that
Benefits.
Department 9010, that one, and then the medical insurance down below 9060?
Correct.
Okay.
So a typical, just to give you an example, like a typical medical insurance bill per month for the village would be $60,000 last year. This year, the one that we're just paying is 38,000.
Wow. That's
So
a
the
big
premiums
difference.
are greatly reduced.
And the
That's great.
DPW, if everything goes right, will be on the new insurance the first.
Mhm.
We can't make a change until the first of the year.
Mhm.
So you said 60 to 38.
Yes, per month. So,
Mhm. That's huge.
yep, it is. All the detail of the equipment we can discuss when we get to section 9. It's all detailed in that section.
The detail of the equipment from,
From all the departments.
oh, okay. Mhm. Okay.
Numbers under capital. Anything else, or do we move on to
We
water?
move on to water.
Mhm.
Okay, so section 7, I'm just writing them on the sections as water.
And I didn't tell you that in the back of your notebook is that cheat sheet.
Oh, I was making
Sorry,
my
I forgot to
own.
tell you that this year.
I pulled out last year's or 2 years ago, just so you know. It was colorful.
I know.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I looked back there, Sally, and I didn't see it. So thank you.
As the mayor said, for the water, we're not suggesting any increases in the rates currently. We want to do an analysis of the water that we actually produced and used. We can do reports of gallons that were actually consumed and compare it to what our expenses are. With the colleges shut down, the schools shut down, the revenues were reduced quite a bit.
I know that the institutions are so much bigger, but I would have to imagine that residential water use was up.
A little bit, I think.
Not
Was,
yeah,
especially during the summer. You heard about it.
but just not enough to offset that big decrease
No,
at the
definitely.
schools.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of gallons.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So now, is that a place where the funds, the stimulus funds, or whatever we're calling them from the federal government, will that be able to go into water as an offset?
I believe- Go ahead.
Depends if we can identify the loss. You can use the stimulus funds to offset losses due to COVID. So
Right.
there's a possibility of that, yes.
You'd have to document that it was a result of COVID, right?
But we also, we have to make sure we get all of the rules associated with the stimulus. And while they gave us guidelines on what you might be able to use it for, until the Treasury Department gives us specifics,
Yeah.
we have to do to prove it. We won't know for sure. And that's the big question mark. And we don't have that piece of information. Say for infrastructure or losses due to COVID. But at this point, we can't make a commitment until we know, the details, the
There's
specifics.
not enough detail out yet, huh?
And, I mean, that it could very well end up as a larger conversation with the board on, what your priorities are for that money. It's going to come in two pieces. So, certainly a possibility, but we have a lot of other things coming up too, so.
So are there any other questions on water? We can move on to sewer. And if anytime if you have questions later on, please feel free to call me or email me or whichever.
What comes in fresh has to go out the other way, so.
That's right.
True.
At least you get somebody who laughs at your jokes, Mike.
Those dad jokes.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing wrong with the dad jokes.
No.
So fellow dads have to laugh at each other.
So again, there's no major issue or major changes in sewer.
Okay. And then golf course.
Yes. So I did want to point out on golf course that
Yes.
we have a lot of expenses and not a lot of revenue. So
Mhm.
what I tried to point it out a little bit differently this year is that if you look on the revenues, the interfund transfer,
Mhm.
that will be the amount that golf course has to borrow from another fund, which would have to be general fund, to meet those expenses that are currently listed.
Borrow?
Yes,
Okay,
For lack of a better.
yes,
right, because it does have to be paid back, actually.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
So there's no big frills in the golf course. I mean,
Hmm.
you have golf carts, a lot of them are fixed costs. You have your
Hmm.
contract with Kevin, you have your golf cart leases you have to pay, you have electricity, you have one of the things we did, if you notice on here, the labor is a little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because that we actually Skip asked to use Penske personnel last year, so it's actually just transferred to a different line item.
that's that personnel services?
Yes.
Mhm.
So it, he actually asked for an increase, but actually it's a decrease. That worked out better for us. We were having trouble finding people to work at the golf course. We would advertise continuously, and there just were not a lot of people that jumped on board. So we went through Penske, and that seemed to work out extremely well last year, which also reduces our workers' comp costs, disability costs, other costs. So
I have a question. I noticed there's more money allotted for golf cart paths than, say, like our sidewalks in the village. Where would one make a recommendation that that's maybe not a good priority, that maybe we
Well,
should have more money put into
you should
sidewalks?
say that. The mayor and I had this conversation with Marty this morning, and he asked
Oh,
a question.
uh-huh.
So, I mean, that is the board's discretion, and
Mhm.
we can discuss that a little bit more when we get to the next
Mhm.
section, which is the
Sure.
capital and those
Right.
paving things. So,
Right.
that is a good question, and we did
Yeah.
chat about that this morning.
Great.
Can I understand what number you're looking at?
He's gone on to the next section.
I was in,
Oh.
actually, it's in section 9 where
Oh,
there's
okay,
the
okay.
expenses.
I can't
And
go to section 9
He's
yet.
jumping ahead.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
We'll wait for
Yep.
section.
Please do.
Wait, so you're
I have
not talking about cart fees?
No, I'm talking about paths, golf cart paths.
Let's forget what he said until we get to the section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just erase that.
we'll bring it up in 9.
Okay, so here's my question is, on golf course fund, where is, rental of real property? Is that our concession?
That's concession and Kevin for the pro shop.
Hmm.
Wait, what? That's only $5,000.
Right. Well, it's only while they're there, so it's
Right, but
8 months.
but what's that? What is that $5,280?
So it is, Kevin, I think his is $325 a month,
Oh, okay.
and an estimate on what the food concession might be.
Okay. So it's not, okay, got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I think we should sell more surplus scrap. We should sell all the scrap that's up in the attic. That's what we should sell. I think there's not an S on that word,
I'm not sure anybody wants it.
which was why it's scrap minus the S.
Yep.
And what are minor sales?
Minor sales, again, that's just a generic, across the board, but it might be, I'm trying to think, well, it might be like golf balls or, for a while we had golf balls and they were sold out of the pro shop. Those.
That's all handled now by the pro.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
He gets the shop.
Mhm.
So why do we still have the line? Just because?
Yeah, just.
Okay.
Because it's in the accounting program, and it's just downloaded.
Perfect.
So that if you took it away, you couldn't report on past years.
Right, well, I can hide that line if you want me to do that.
That's all right. I was just wondering.
Spreadsheet.
I think you're better off not hiding line.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for that. I was just wondering.
I guess that does make sense. My first inclination is get rid of anything you don't
Mm-hmm.
need, but you're right. It's something, so it shouldn't be hidden.
Mhm.
Okay, okay, I can go to
So
9
it
now.
is, but I just wanted to make you totally aware what we're talking about for golf course.
Yeah, no, I know. And we're in it alone. We don't get those. We can't blame any of it on the
You
town.
can't share the pain.
Mm-mm.
Next, section 9 is capital requests. And these are from department heads.
We spent a lot of time with Marty talking about these. And really, everything is pretty well fully funded that was requested. With one exception.
Okay, so let's start with general.
So this program, and I believe Marty spoke to the board about this at the last board meeting. This is a maintenance inventory software program.
Mhm.
He feels it will be invaluable. And also, this is the same program that the county is going to for their maintenance department on vehicles.
Mhm.
I think it does even more than vehicles, but
Yes.
it's primarily to help maintain a record that should have been kept years ago.
It does like heavy equipment and stuff like that, Mike, is that?
We have a better sense of our expense and help time replacement of equipment better.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
just, it's not a feeling from the seat of your pants. It's, here's the documentation. This is what we've done. This is the trends.
So is this a one-time expense or do you buy the software and do you have like an annual fee or what?
There will be an annual maintenance fee. And I
Okay,
believe he said, Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, I think it was like $600.
so the upfront cost is the big one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I might have missed this. Klaus was asking about is this heavy equipment? I guess that was kind of my question. Is this like all of our equipment or just like the truck? Like, what does it cover? Everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marty did say that if the board wanted to, individually or as a group, that he was sure that the software people would be glad to do a Zoom meeting or provide more information. So
Mhm. Yeah, I
just
might
know-
want to check that out. That
Just let
sounds
the
like
board
you'd be
know.
useful to know about that.
He said they would be glad to do that.
I'll talk to Marty about that.
Okay, I'm just going down through these.
Mhm.
Dispatch desk / room. I thought we had a bunch of desks for the taking.
No. You're talking under the police?
Yeah.
He wants to make a change in that front office area. Move
Mhm.
things out, reconfigure that, give themselves more room in there.
So the generator's back.
The generator's back, but it also, the town has to participate so that, we don't know where we're gonna be with that.
is not
Mhm.
included in the tentative number at this point.
Wait, what's not included? The
The
generator?
generator, right?
What would make it included?
What would
They
make,
would pay half.
yeah, the town paying half.
Mhm.
And,
So-
and
We have tried repeatedly to get a grant for that,
Hmm.
and that has not worked.
Hmm.
So,
Do we know why?
Yeah.
well, part of what came back was the hazardous mitigation plan didn't identify that.
right.
So when it was done
Mhm.
10 years ago, 5 years ago,
Oh,
10
So
years.
if-
a
So
number of years.
Five.
ago.
So we're going to go through that plan again. That's starting. The county contracted with Barton LaJudas to do that. And we're going to make sure things like that are in there. So the group that's going to work on this hazardous mitigation plan will be myself and Marty, will be the chief of the police, chief of the fire department, and Lee. And our first meeting is coming up. I don't know, I think it's the 15th. So
So we have no backup power in that building right
No.
now.
We would have, like, during the ice storm, we had to bring in individual generators to
Yeah.
run the
So,
phones and,
the
Well-
problem, there's a problem with this building when you do this, try to put a generator in. It's because of the way the power is distributed in the building. It's extraordinarily difficult to do that. So,
Because of all the levels and the brilliance of the architecture.
well, back in the year when this was designed, I mean, the American with Disabilities Act was never considered. If it was, I mean,
It wouldn't exist the way it is.
it's
Yeah,
the
I
way it
get
is
that.
today, So yeah, there's a lot of things that weren't considered back in that day. That we're trying to catch up on. So we don't know where we're going to be at with it, but right now that's not in the request that's going into the budget.
So the 21.5 is the actual total cost, or is it half the cost?
Half the cost.
half.
Oh,
So
that's
it's
half.
actually,
That's half.
it's
Yeah.
actually a $43,000 unit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so same with the awning, that's half.
Yes.
This is our half.
Okay.
okay, is there a reason that the generators for the building, but it's a police request?
It just came under the police. That's all.
Part of the reason why is because at one point in time, it was more likely that a grant money would be awarded to
And emergency
Department of
services.
Homeland Security.
Okay,
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and it makes sense in a lot of ways because,
Public safety.
right, it's public safety and it's not that you are high priority, Sally, because you are. But I
That's
would
okay.
think that the police would need it quickest so that they could respond and
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all. It's all part of it, and part of the reasoning for it. And that all went into the grant application last time that was denied.
I can't believe that. That's crazy.
Feedback was, from Lee, is that the hazardous mitigation plan, if it was highlighted in there, would have certainly made a difference because they
Yeah, that's too bad that it wasn't.
in the grant application. So,
Well, thanks for taking that on. Hopefully we can make it work.
Mhm.
Parking meters, we do similar every year. A lot of times we don't spend it. Marty's asking Dave Reagan, because he's our meter man, repair man, to at the beginning of the year order some new meters so we have an inventory. So, one year we had a accident on Main Street and they took out 4 or 5 meters at the same time. Yeah, so it would be important to have that inventory.
So I wonder what, every place else in the world besides small towns like Canton now have the credit cards
Mhm.
kiosk, like, every little whip stitch. Do you think the credit card companies do that, or is that a municipal edition?
I think it's a municipal edition.
That's what I
don't
would
know
think.
that much about it.
I mean, as we move forward, and I thinking of some of the streetscape improvements and all, as we work on our streetscape improvements and have those nice trees and other things going on, it'd be nice to get rid of the meters
Would
and
be.
just have the credit card
Little
kiosks
kiosks.
every, you know, you'd
Mm.
probably, the blocks are, you know, the whole downtown's short enough, you probably only need 2 or 3.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about that.
And we wouldn't need any
Nice.
inventory anymore.
Right,
That's
right.
right.
So I guess one of the questions is, I mean, maybe it's worth some research to see, should we be buying parking meters?
Yeah, well, just so you know, this is only gonna buy 3.
Right, so, you know, maybe we find out what $2,700 would get us in a,
Mhm.
and I wonder if that's something that there could be grant money for. I don't know what the category would be, but, well, you know, shoot, thinking about the Main Street grant, I wonder if that would have been a streetscape improvement. Probably not.
Mhm.
Anyway, I think that's worth some
Interesting.
investigation. Okay, I'm still looking. I was at 27 street signs. DPW building repair.
Hey, that's been in there right along every year.
So that's just ongoing upkeep.
It's ongoing. What they're doing, go section at a time, and they insulate, they pull it apart, re-insulate, rewire, put new steel up on the inside. Sometimes,
Insulation, those type of things.
on the outside
Well,
too.
again, I'd like to take that $30,000 and go buy property somewhere else and move that on out of there.
Right now, that's, they're just trying to keep ahead of the game, and they've
Yeah,
done.
I get that. Mhm.
Paving non-chips. I don't know if you have any questions on that.
So I was trying to match that to the description of the paving later and couldn't. So maybe you could
So
help me.
the paving that's later, these are things that, the paving later is chips. It's things that are covered under chips. These
Okay.
things would not. So anything that would need paving, that's been done in the last 10 years, because chips,
Right.
you have that 10-year waiting period.
Yeah.
One of the things I know Marty was talking about was like the alleyway between the post office and the library.
Oh, for real.
Those type of little projects that
Yeah,
add up.
Can't use chips for that.
Right.
Right.
So we were talking today about just the price of asphalt is going up to, they suspect, was it $60?
It was 40 something last year. It's gonna increase to over 60.
Per foot,
The bids were coming in, that's per ton.
Per ton.
per ton. Okay. That tells you what I know about metrics. and asphalt.
Yeah, it's going up substantially.
You know, in this category, and this isn't really a budget discussion right now, but you know what else is just terrible? Is the parking lot at the golf course. I mean, when does that ever get attention? That would, seems to me that would need to be non-chips too, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And it's a big one. That's a lot.
We're looking at making, so when we get around to the chips piece, I'll explain a little more on what the plan is. One big item in here is a street sweeper, which is a real important piece for around our community. We are looking at the possibility of leasing, change the expense.
Can't hear you, Mike.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think maybe if some of us,
I don't know, I haven't been muted. The street,
Klaus, if you can mute yourself, I think we're getting some feedback from you.
he's muted now. The street sweeper is something we're looking at possibly leasing instead of buying. And that will change the outlook on this capital request. I mean, obviously, if you don't spend it and you lease it, it changes the numbers around, which, you know, could either free up some money for something else, but we haven't made that final decision yet. They are repairing, putting a new motor in our old sweeper, so we have something immediately. But we really do need to make a move on a sweeper. So the jury's still out on how we are going to fund that. That would be the purchase price, but he's leaning in the direction of recommending a lease. If he does that, I mean, approval of a sweeper is an approval of a sweeper. Then how we decide to fund it, that's a whole other story. So I just wanted to call your attention to that.
So, and just to be clear, should we lease it, it will be less money, is that correct?
Much less.
Okay, I thought that was an important part of the,
Yeah,
I like-
I like less.
we'll certainly update you on what the final plan is, but you know, it's an important piece. And I don't know about you, but I hear about it when people think the streets ought to be swept and they aren't. So I get calls, and I certainly hope the rest of you do too.
Yeah, we do.
can we go back up to the sidewalks? Is there a list of those somewhere also broken out?
I don't know if
I
you,
guess more than anything, I'm curious how much sidewalk is that?
we can pin him down on how much sidewalk that would include.
Okay, that would be great.
And he may not have a list yet. I know he walks the village frequently, so we can check with him on that.
And some are worse than others, there's no doubt. And I'm sure that is something that jumped out at Klaus.
Mhm.
He looked at the cart path piece for the golf course. They have been trying to upgrade the cart paths out there too. And that's a number that's been stuck in there. I don't know if it's been spent every year, but it's kind of an end of the season thing that they can do as needed. We can transfer money into more sidewalks as long as he can get them done.
Mhm.
That's the other piece, is we normally do them in-house.
Mhm.
And, you know, our labor is a little bit different when we do them in-house.
Mhm.
Mostly what you end up doing in that, with that expense, is the charge for materials.
Mhm.
You're not including manpower in there.
Right.
Same thing with the cart path. You're not using manpower in there. Those are just materials.
Right.
Mayor, do you want to talk about street signs and dank and inventory?
Mhm.
Well, the street sign piece is a high number, or it seems like a high number. He is really pushing that we get Dank to do our inventory for the signs. So we have locations, and then that gives us information about when they were replaced. Any sign that's older, and I didn't know this, any sign that's older than 10 years old becomes an issue if there's an accident as a result of you losing reflectivity of the sign. So he wants to get them on a program where there's a standard post and sign, standard color of the post. And the county stamps all of their signs so they know when they were installed, so they can track them. Because it's a liability issue as far as he's concerned. So he wants to be more aggressive at replacing signs too.
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
That's the
Yeah.
expense for signs. And, you know, you ride around, you'll see, you know, the stop signs and yield signs, things like that are critical that they're taken care of. But we've got a ton of no parking signs around that are very hard to read and
Mhm.
sometimes not even clear on where you're supposed to park or not supposed to park. So that's what he's trying to do. Dank was, we approved Dank participating in a Dank grant that was supposed to help with survey in the village. And it never got off the ground because of the grant. I don't know, there was a problem with the grant, and then COVID, and it just never happened. So they're gonna go back at the grant. We hope that that will help reduce our costs, because, you know, we'll have a share out of that.
The cost wasn't that much anyway. It was what, $600
No.
to $900. So
Yeah, it was very, it
Without
was
the grant.
low. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we could do it have them do it just for us, but if they're gonna get a grant, we might as well try to get on board.
Yeah, I'll talk to Marty about that. There should be some complete streets grants possibly that could
Well,
help with.
the
I'll look into
grant-
that and I'll
the
talk to
grant-
Marty.
The grant that was being pursued was not by us,
Mhm.
being pursued by Dank
By Dank, okay,
for the whole region.
yeah.
And they were it was a regional grant, and
Mhm.
to help other communities get on Dank for other things.
Mhm.
We're on Dank, you know,
Right.
our GIS is, you know, there,
Right.
and what we're missing is signs. So it was gonna be a small piece of that grant.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's what we're waiting on for Dank to
Mhm.
make their move on that grant.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, can I go back to something? What Anna was asking about sidewalks, and Klaus was asking about the sidewalks versus the cart paths. Where am I missing sidewalks?
They're
Where-
earlier on in number 6, in section 6, I think.
Well, no, there's the,
That might be wrong.
on the, it's A5410.2, under general fund. That's what I was
That's
looking at.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not too far from the DPW building repair that you were talking about earlier.
I see it. Yep. You know,
How much is in
I
there
gotta
for?
tell
the-
you, I looked up and down that and didn't see that. I looked on that whole sheet. I
Mhm.
think I was looking in that middle, on the column that says throughout village.
other description.
Okay.
Listed as
Thank you.
10,500.
Mhm.
It's right near the middle ring of my binder.
Yeah. Mine too. Mine goes through it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was looking at the part that says, I just didn't see it.
It makes me
we-
feel better, Carol, because I'm searching sometimes too.
So, and then if you go to the next page is where the golf course is, and that's where there's
Right.
cart path number
Mhm.
of $12,000.
So a question I have is, you know, I do think that sidewalks, you know, I think it's been the sort of the squeaky wheel, the really cracked sidewalk has gotten fixed, and there hasn't been much rhyme or reason to it. And I think a lot are in pretty bad shape. I guess my question is, if we were able to put more money toward that, do we have the capacity to do it anyway? I mean, could our staff even get that done?
That was my point, that, you know, will they be able to get to, you know, spend that amount of concrete?
Yeah.
Concrete
Well-
and reinforcement and, you know, just.
And time, but even time, I mean, how much
That's
time?
that's what I'm saying. The time, you know, that just represents expense for material.
Mhm.
Time is for 2 to 4 people
Yeah.
working on this thing. So that is what we need to answer to find out if we can do more than that,
Yeah.
and if we can take any away from cart paths.
I
Well, I mean,
look-
I'm not necessarily saying take away from cart paths, you know. Although
Well,
the golf course
until we
does get a
know we
lot of
can-
money.
Until we know we can do that, you know, we can't move. But here's the other thing we can do. To approve this budget, you don't have to move the money from cart paths over there yet. You can decide that later. If you can do $2,000 more in sidewalks, and we can reallocate from the golf course to the to sidewalks.
Well, you can't really, because they're two separate funds.
You can't move it between funds?
No. Sorry.
So our sidewalks
We
are
have to do
doomed.
it now, is what you're saying?
That's why we have her.
Yep. Keeps legal.
I love that. Nope, we can't. Could I ask another question on golf course? Actually, it would be clubhouse.
Mhm.
I don't, clubhouse and kitchen. I don't know, Beth, whether the conversation has happened yet between Karen and Marty, but there was discussion about working on constructing a bar in there. I don't think that's going to be a big ticket item, but if we're going to try to do it, it might not be this summer, but it would probably be this budget year.
There is a little bit in the regular budget for the kitchen. Looks like $1,200
Mhm,
in the normal budget. So
mhm.
that's something you could use. I know Marty is not, I think he was supposed to meet with Karen tomorrow, right, Beth?
We were hoping to do that. Nothing is confirmed. So I'll see if I can figure that out and see if they can. She said Thursday and Friday were tough. So we'll see.
Well, I'd like to see, depending on what they come up with for an idea, to see if we could add a little something in there just to have it done. I mean, I hear you, Sally, when you say we've got all expenses there and no revenue. But, if we think of it as a community resource and, something that we'd like to spruce up for the community to use, get people in there dining and drinking and all that, a small investment in that probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
So can you put money from cart paths into that?
So what, you can do that.
Well, and I mean, I was wondering, because I also hear, Sally, about the sort of where we're at with this. And it seems like there is the balance. Like on the one hand, obviously, we're really hoping this is a wonderful summer. And of course, everybody's going to want to be outside. So obviously, everyone will want to go to the golf course.
To the golf course, yeah.
Right. And it's just going to flock to the golf course, and the concessions is going to be amazing, and everything's, okay. But that's also like best case scenario. So, I mean, I guess I'm just looking at these various items and wondering, does the maintenance building need to be expanded this year? Is that a place? And I have no idea. And you can tell me, yes, it does. And I'll believe you. But where if we want to move money around to try to put it where it's most likely going to bring revenue, what are those things?
So those things are here. I mean, these things.
This is
we
it.
have to, I don't know that we have to plant trees this year. I think one year we could move on without trees, but that's my opinion. I guess I would need to, I think there should be a sit down maybe with Marty and Skip and the mayor, or the the golf committee. Maybe that would be the better option, and have Skip Marty explain why these things are there.
Yeah, I think that's, it's been a long time since we've done a golf committee meeting with Skip. I'm sure he is absolutely delighted about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I think that's a good thought.
The other thing I did, and I did not share it with you, is I did gather some other membership rates from other golf courses, and I find ours are extremely low. I will make a point of sharing those with you.
Please do.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yes.
This year may not be the season to crank them up, but you know what? If we have a good year,
Next year, maybe, yeah.
But
Mike.
it's good to prepare.
Yeah, it is. And to plant that seed, or tee up, let's just say tee up that ball.
Yeah. Oh, good one.
There you go.
Thank you. I was going to ask Mike if you wanted to be a part of that meeting, but that probably can't happen if it's Beth and me. So we'll start with Beth and me and Marty and Skip and go from there.
Fine.
Okay, Beth, I'll see if I can't get that pulled together.
maybe we could work on the sidewalk plan for next year if there's no possibility of getting more money in for this year. Kind of keep a distance.
I'm not ready to give up yet.
I'm not, I was gonna say, let's
Well-
dig into that a little.
No.
Oh, I'm game for it, but it didn't sound too probable, but I'm game for any improvement we can make, but let's keep,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a conversation. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that from Marty.
yeah, let's talk to Marty.
Can we just back up a page?
Mhm.
Sorry, but we skipped water and went straight.
Yes.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, we did. We skipped water entirely.
Yes.
Very important category.
Yes.
So,
Wait, we did?
yeah,
Yes, it's on the bottom of the first page.
In the capital.
Oh.
yeah.
sorry.
The
Mhm.
first, yeah, but
I see.
so, the gallery rehab 36. What is this? I
You
feel
weren't
like
familiar with the
no?
art gallery that's up in the uplands, where we have visitors and have a lot of folk art?
Mm,
Gallery is the.
Concerts too.
Gallery rehab is the reservoir up there that needs some work.
Okay,
But what's
Oh, no.
what's
oh, I'm
reservoir
sorry.
repairs?
Reservoir repairs is separate. Collar
Yeah.
Gallery is the free water collection, what we call the free water. And the rates of flow have dropped some. And they're thinking that silt has infiltrated into the collection galley. And they've gotten an estimate from a company that has a method for pushing the silt back out where it came from. They use carbon dioxide, and it's pressurized and helps to re-energize those collection galleries. When they first started talking about it, the estimate was, well, it could be anywhere between $10,000 and $100,000 to do. But, they've got the estimate to where it seems appropriate. And that's the amount that they've added in there.
okay,
I'm sorry, the reservoir repairs is one of the reservoirs seems to be leaking. They're probably going to dry one side of the reservoir out and do some work on it. They tend to do those every few years anyways to get any silt that's collected out, cleaned up. When they do that, they're going to look at repairing. There's a leak in there that they need to take care of. Also, I learned today when I talked to Mark, there's another leak that they believe is somewhere between that reservoir and the pressure reducing station down on 27, right before you get to the bridge. And they think they're losing some water, a significant amount of water. So there's a outfit that comes in and tests. Rural Water will come in and test and do some locating of possible leaks. So we may be finding that we're losing some water in that transmission line. Because the numbers aren't adding up between what goes out and what's picked up down below.
okay.
Hmm.
And that's not in here. That's additional.
No, that's right now that is a free service offered by, it's a governmental agency that will do those type of inspections for us. They've helped us with some sewer work before and other things. So
Okay.
Great.
Okay, thank you. That was the only thing I didn't feel like I knew about.
So then can I, without looking back at my last year's budget, these things, the rest of the things under transmission, well pumps, water meters, all that, is that just a routine every year thing?
yeah, and I think he's also trying to build up some supplies too, because he can't
Who's
find
he?
a reserve.
Marty.
Under water fund last
Thank
year,
you.
we bought water meters. But there are some other things that need to be purchased. So
Mhm,
pipes and fittings for inventory is an important piece.
mhm.
You know, he goes looking for, where's your surplus supplies in case we have a problem.
There's no such thing. Coakley's.
If they're there,
That's the
They're well-
problem right now.
they're well hidden.
Mhm, I know that.
So part of what he's trying to do is build an inventory. You'll notice pipe both in the water and sewer. I believe he's got pipe in there. I know he was building a pipe reserve up, so,
Pipe supply, yep, in sewer, there's pipe supply too there.
so, you know, that's the kind of stuff he's looking at, improving our position in.
Mhm.
Everything else under the sewer fund, pretty much needed. The airlines at the lagoons really do need some help. And redoing those is going to be an important to the treatment operation. Because they use air with the treatment.
Right, so
So
this
Mike-
probably relates to like the last, was it like the last inspection or whatever? And there were these, is that what?
They've known the air leaks were there,
Oh, okay.
and they got in order to get the air to where it belongs, it's a larger pipe that's leaking, so they got to get those fixed.
I'm gonna ask a question that it's gonna be a little bit like I'm asking a question in Arabic or something, but today we had a sustainability committee meeting, and while I was gone, they visited the anaerobic digester up at CCE at Cooperative Extension. And the guy, Stefan Grimberg, who runs that, was just telling them about it and said that they use, in Potsdam, they use the anaerobic digester in their wastewater treatment that's been incorporated in. And it's a, what did he call it? It's a, it makes money, or it ends up not costing. I don't know enough to know what I'm really asking, except that, will there be a time when all of that treatment plant needs like a total overhaul? Or like, do you think that the guys there are interested in learning more about that or understanding more about that? Or are they looking into that? Is that?
There's two different types of treatment facilities, and we have a different type than what Potsdam has.
Mhm.
So what's going on in Potsdam is different than ours. We did look at, adding bugs to the process. I don't know if you remember, Huntley was around talking about that years ago. And the operators at the time didn't think there would be any, Dan Huntley was selling for this company, didn't think there'd be a noticeable difference in our operations by adding those kind of bugs.
Are you saying bugs, like BUGS bugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're used, what was proposed was supposed to be used at Torelli's farm to help lower the level of solids and to
Exactly.
reduce the odor and the smell.
Mhm,
That's what he was proposing for us to try.
mhm.
We didn't get buy-in from the operators at the time. The other piece to all of this is cleaning out the beds from solids. And over time, the solids that come in build up in pond 1, and then they move to pond 2. And by the time they get to pond 4, they end up going out as clear water. But there are solids that build up in the bottom. And at one time, we were supposed to be putting money away to have that cleaned up. They measure those solids. They go out in a boat.
He does this to me
Oh,
all the time. He does this. I just
They measure the depth of the solids to see where we're at. And our operation was supposed to handle upwards to 4 million gallons a day. And it's only handling about 1 million gallons a day, maybe less. So the solids are not building up as was thought. But the reason why
as was thought or as was feared.
no, it was anticipated that the solids would build at a rate that would require cleaning after a certain period of time. But that was
Oh,
because
uh-huh.
the draft was open
Mm,
yeah.
dumping all their sewage into our
Mhm.
system. The
mhm.
whole thing was designed around Kraft and the solids that they produce. So when Kraft shut down, it changed the operation.
Yeah, right,
Right.
right.
So the solids and the depth of those solids have not built up the way it was anticipated or predicted. Now, they claim that those bugs, if they're introduced, can help keep the solids down. I don't know. But
And I don't know whether that's where the anaerobic digester comes in too, whether they're just trying to, anyway,
we use a different system than others. So our treatment system is a pond type system. Potsdam uses a different system. Potsdam uses, settling tanks and agitation tanks and, primary, secondary and tertiary treatment. And there's mixers and, it's different technology, different type of operation. And if you want to know more about it, in my limited education in sinks and sewers, I have a little bit. Mark is the one to talk to because he could explain it all to you.
well, I said this morning or this evening at the meeting when they raised that, I said, you're way past my pay scale. And I figured they could ask the question of Marty, and Marty might begin to be able to either answer it or direct where that conversation can go, or say, it just doesn't fit what we have. So I'll continue on that path.
In those years that we discussed it at a couple of different times. And it didn't seem appropriate for what our operation was. Now, for those of you that don't know, the water that leaves the treatment facility is reused, and during the summer it goes on the golf course. That's what we water with. So we have no expense for watering by using our own water. It's all recycled from our treatment facility. Now, during certain months, and it's starting here soon, they have to chlorinate and then they have to dechlorinate their water. They're required to, and that's where some of the costs for chemicals come in. They're required to chlorinate their water, and then there's a process that takes the chlorine out because they cannot discharge chlorinated water into the river or onto the golf course.
Onto the,
So I know a little bit about sinks and sewers, but
well, I appreciate, I feel like this is a much bigger list of capital equipment requests than we've ever seen, but it feels much more thoughtful and researched, and it feels to me like a really good big picture. Like we've got a lot of bases covered here. So I really appreciate that. I would just like to look a little more at some of these things and maybe, I think I am going to have questions. And I wonder whether between now and the 8th or whenever the 18th, whenever our next one is, we could have another meeting and maybe have Marty be part of it to answer some of our questions and anybody else who we think we need.
Or that would help. That would be a great idea.
I like
I
that.
have some questions and I haven't, we went through the first part fast. So anyway, that's what I would think.
I like that idea, including Marty.
And anyone else. I mean, maybe we see if, I don't know if we need Skip here. I think we can try to talk to Skip, but just so we can ask the questions.
I'm in favor of this plan. I mean, this is always really helpful, to have the walkthrough, but then I need the time to digest and look to be able to know what my questions are. And so it would feel better to me to have another meeting scheduled rather than like the meeting at which we're supposed to adopt it.
well, the meeting wasn't to adopt it. The next one.
Oh, it's not.
No.
No, but I'd still, it's the one that goes to preliminary, right?
There's one scheduled on the 14th at 6:30, and that's not the public hearing one. That was another board work session. But that would be the
But-
preliminary for the board to review.
Oh,
But so at that point I mean, if there are substantial, and by substantial, I mean like substantive questions and issues, is there still plenty of time at that point? Or should we get those questions answered before the 14th so we can do more refining on the 14th?
I would think, I mean, you could do them, it's not a lot of time before the budget public hearing. We may want to meet again before then.
Mhm.
That only leaves a week and a half to meet before.
Can you remind me when the public hearing is?
So the public hearing is at our regular meeting on the 21st.
Got it.
I would appreciate that, something, maybe one day next week.
Wednesday, the 7th, I'm free.
Hang
at
on, let me look.
6.
That would work.
Yeah, well,
I guess the only question I have is, would it be possible to do it earlier, just to
During the day
accommodate,
sometime.
to
If someone is
accommodate,
here.
yes, exactly. I know he doesn't mind meeting from home via Zoom, but I think he's in so early.
Yeah.
I mean, he and I had a meeting that was 6 and we didn't get done till after 7:30 last night. And
And I know he had another meeting somewhere else tonight, so.
I know he'll do it, but I just think if we could.
Mhm.
What
When
are we
does it
talking about, the
typically get
7th?
The 7th.
Like maybe at
Oh,
4? Would 4 be good?
Marty normally leaves at 3, but I mean, that's,
How about 3?
well, wait, we got to hear from Anna about Anna's
Yeah.
school.
I
She
can't
can't
do Wednesday before 6, so I was looking
Thursday?
at other days. I could do Thursday.
Wait,
Oh,
I have budget session on April 6th at 6
I have-
PM.
Yeah, I have that. I had a village Zoom and I didn't specify where it was, but I
No,
had that on
The 6th,
Tuesday.
the 6th is the sustainability meeting and the CCA presentation is
I have
5
that at
o'clock.
5. I have that at
Yeah.
5, and then at 6, it says budget session
Oh,
on the
I don't-
6th.
yeah,
I don't have that.
You know
I
what?
don't have that.
Today's wasn't on my calendar. I must have gotten that thrown off.
Mhm.
and the 7th, we have with Monica from 1 to 3.
Oh, I didn't get that on here yet.
How about the 8th? How's the 8th look?
Hold on. 8th at 6 is a town board meeting, not that that has anything to do with anything. How's that look for you, Anna or Beth? I think the people who have day jobs.
Yeah, I could do the 8th as early as 4 probably.
Anna, how's the 8th look for you?
I thought we were trying to do it before 4. Is that correct,
I
Sally?
can't,
Well,
I-
yeah, Marty leaves at 3, so I think that was,
I can't do it before then on that day.
Well, I think that he'll, then he can decide whether he's gonna go home and do it from home or be here. I think 4 is more accommodating than 6. At
Mhm.
least I think.
I think so too.
Maybe he'd rather get home and have a break. And the question is, I guess the question I have is, who else? Are there any other people that we have questions for that we'd like to have part of this conversation? Marty's the one I have the most questions for.
Mhm.
So Anna, you said on the 7th, you can't do till 6.
No. I can try to move something that I think will have me right up against 4 and not able to jump right on at 4. I can try to move it. It's something I could try to move.
On what, the 7th?
The 8th.
Well, I could do
Before.
I mean, we could do 4:30 too, maybe.
Works for me.
I mean, I think that, Marty's a good sport and I just think this is important.
Yeah, and
We
maybe,
gotta find out if he can do it.
yeah,
Mhm.
So 4:30 on the 8th.
Okay. And then, of course, if folks can't do that, then we can go back to the drawing
Regroup.
board.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, then I think an alternative, I mean, I think the thing even to offer Marty, maybe, can everybody do the 7th at 6?
I can.
I can do
I
that.
can. So Mike, do you want to check with him and see which he prefers? Wednesday at 6 or Thursday at 4:30?
Say the 6th, 7th.
No, 7th.
Wednesday, the 7th, sorry. At 6.
Right.
Wednesday, the 7th at 6. Wednesday at 6, I think is what I said. Or Thursday, the 8th at 4:30.
Fine.
I'm gonna block both of them just in case. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I'll
me
end up
too.
double booked
Yeah,
and
me
it'll be sad.
So then would you still want to have the meeting on the 14th?
I think so.
Well, I mean, we could keep it there and then decide if we need it, but I think we probably will.
And then, are we ready to go back to the capital requests?
Yes.
Which part?
Yeah.
The second page after I'm assuming, well, I guess, let me back up. Under sewer fund, this was the Pearl Street and Church Street.
Mhm.
So that's CHIPS funding, I take it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's under paving. It's the
Okay.
separate piece.
But it is chips.
Yes.
That is CHIPS, yes. And
Okay.
CHIPS,
Not sewer fund, right, Mike?
no.
Right.
It's CHIPS.
Okay.
And right now, we believe that we will end up with a higher amount of chips. Some of that's been restored. So we may get back to our original number, plus what we've had carry over. So we may have a couple more streets we're able to do.
That's great.
We may,
When will we know that?
we're hoping to find out soon.
Good.
Pearl Street's gonna be done a little different than we've normally done it, and he's waiting for results of some test bores on that street. He may approach street repair and replacement a little bit differently.
Nice.
We're waiting to hear a little bit more about that.
Great.
All
We
right.
have some test borings done, some core samples to figure out what's under there before we can make a final decision.
Oh, my God. I just turned the page.
Yes, well, I warned you about that.
I was
Holy
wondering.
shit.
Well, he has
Zamboni.
identified some things for recreation to talk about. The playground updates, there's one that's solely ours,
That'll make me so happy.
and there's one that is a shared playground, and Nimer wants to see those done different.
Yep.
The mechanical room repair and the Zamboni. You're gonna have to talk to the the entire rec committee and see how they want to fund that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Zamboni's getting to the point where we're gonna have to do something. Mechanical room repairs are, we gotta, know that we're gonna do that before, startup next year. There's some leaks, there's, compressors have been shutting down. There's some things that are gonna have to be taken care of. And funding that is gonna have to be decided in the town and the village. Now,
Well, the town, the
places-
village, and possibly some fundraising.
Well, and that's fine, but, the playground updates, I think, are probably more safety than anything.
Mhm.
You want to move ahead with that. I have to talk to Sally a little bit. I have a thought about that too, but I don't want to express it yet. I just want to see if my possibility is possible.
You can't move it from some other fund we just found out.
Well, no, recreation here is a little different. We can figure that out. It occurs to me that would make those playground updates, get done. I'll talk more about it and we'll have a.
We're talking about Taylor Park
proposal.
and
What?
we're talking about Taylor Park Playground. We're talking about
Buck Street.
Buck Street.
Talking about the Buck Street playground initially, but, we're gonna have to have buy-in from the town on the other one,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
At Taylor Park.
but it's gotta be done.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad somebody thinks it needs to be done because I heard too many times, we're not doing it. We don't care what Nimer says. And that never sat well with me. So I'm really happy.
Well, there are, I think you do have to look at what Nimer says, but when it comes to safety on some of this stuff, I don't think there should be any question about it.
Right, I agree.
That would be agreed.
This
sure.
also came up in the reimagining, just for the record. Not that that's our compelling reason, but it is a thing that, those are resources the community, number one, sees and that they use, and they'd like to see them improved and better and more usable and more user friendly and safer and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Seeing as how we can lease all kinds of things these days, and that decreases our costs, can we lease a Zamboni?
Can we what?
I like it.
Can we
Lease a
lease
Zamboni.
Zamboni?
I don't know. Possible. We'll find out.
Look into it. We should.
Our pattern has always been to get hand-me-downs.
And we've done very well on hand-me-downs over the years, but, the old one, the old one, you have to be careful running it because it's a carbon monoxide problem.
Then that needs to go.
Bye-bye.
It needs
But
to
the
go. Well,
other
we
one-
couldn't go because it was more
I
reliable
know.
than the new one.
I know.
And the one that we got from St. Lawrence, we're having repeated problems with it. So we think we know the source of those problems. And I think we have somebody that understands maintenance of this equipment a whole lot better than the last dude.
And even according to some things that I understood in a conversation recently, perhaps even than other more recent dudes. I mean, the one thing about Marty is he knows his way around a rink and rink equipment.
Oh, yeah. But, there were things that should have happened on that Zamboni all summer long. Well, it was, laid up for the summer and it never happened.
Yep.
Correct.
Stuff
No.
that's been happening, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, that didn't happen.
We get I know that, I think that the one that we have was sponsored by Coca-Cola and was given to St. Lawrence. And then when St. Lawrence was done with it and got a new one, then it came to us. Is there any way that we can do that as a municipality, or is that not a thing?
Do what?
I don't know.
Advertising?
Help sponsor.
Yeah, we've done it before.
I mean, that's what
They
they
went out,
advertise.
they went out and got sponsors for, put your name on. We can look at that. Those sponsorships don't generally pay for $140,000 Zamboni, but, a little bit will help.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did for St. Lawrence. I'm not saying they would for Canton necessarily, but
Well,
Have a lot of-
St. Lawrence is a lot different than it.
that's what I meant.
Well, there was a lot of conversation, we got to figure out how to manage this whole thing. So at this point, Sally, I remember, so this is everything that's in the bucket right now.
Yes.
And at what point how are we going to come to the decision of which ones go? Which ones can be included?
Well, are you talking about recreation? Recreation is
No,
not
I'm
included
talking-
anywhere, just in general.
So,
Right now-
so no, but
What do
so of all these capital equipment and project requests, I remember seeing these in the past where, we have, are you right now, are all these things included in the budget?
Yes, everything. in the
Everything but
tentative one-
recreation.
Not everything, though.
Not,
Not everything.
not recreation.
Right,
Recreation is not. And the police, there's only $11,800 included for dispatch desk and room.
Correct.
The generator, in-car video is not included.
Everything in
Okay,
the
that read.
tentative budget line is included.
You look down
There.
tentative, and that's what is in there.
okay. The in-car video system that's in red, is that that's a no for this year? We just said,
Yeah,
Can't do it?
we just showed that we talked about it, and
mhm, mhm.
It's
we're going with, the
body cams.
cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We'll
Mhm.
see, we'll see what Nymer has to say, when they come back again. That
Mhm.
was one guy from Nymer liked that idea, but the woman that came last time, I don't think she said a word about it. So,
I think that the body cams are a priority anyway.
yeah, they're gonna be up and running here this month. No, April.
Good deal.
So everything you see there is funded as long as it's in the tentative line at that amount of money. And with the exception of $180,000 for recreation.
Yeah, I see that now. Okay, got it. I read you loud and clear. Okay,
I still like to see it, that it's been requested. That's good.
right. I guess I was confused only by, in years past, we haven't included as many. So this is exciting, I think.
I think this year we were able to for many reasons. And, if we can, I think it's important that we do.
And I think we had better support documentation that these things were needed.
I'm sure you did.
But we made several moves in this last budget too. We didn't buy a brand new six-wheeler. We ended up with a used 10-wheeler and a rebuilt 6-wheeler. So, plow truck. So there's moves that, we've made that, and Marty's recommended, that has saved us some money.
Mhm.
So, when we
Cool.
come out at the back end of this year, there could be some extra money there. The anticipated amount, you can use a little bit of that to fund a couple things if you're interested in it. If you want to add some sidewalks, that's where you can grab some sidewalk money for. But you got to know if you got the capacity to do sidewalks. You want to get that, the one, recreation piece done on the corner of Elm and Buck, we could probably find some funds for that.
Mhm.
There's some funds there that we could use. But I certainly wouldn't make any commitments on Taylor Park or a Zamboni until the town weighs in on their interest in
Mhm.
doing it. I'll talk to Marty when I talk to him about what date works best, if there's a possibility of leasing a Zamboni. Who knows? Who
Worth
knows?
a question, worth asking.
All right, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe Enterprise has a Zamboni.
Well, the street sweeper is a program through the company that, is doing the street sweeper. So,
Mhm.
so we're looking at that.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, the street sweeper would come out of the general fund, which, some of that funding could be used right away to improve some sidewalk stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
If you choose to lease, now all of a
Mhm.
sudden you freed up $200,000.
Mhm.
And you can put it into contingency, or you can add some money to the streets,
Mhm.
For sidewalks, and you can add some money to, if you want to do something, wreck, I don't know.
Might we know that leasing answer before we approve this budget?
We could, yeah, I mean, I'll have a number for you soon. Marty had it, we've talked about it, so.
Okay.
So there are some places where you can juggle a little bit here. I have learned that I can't move from that one fund to another, but there is a way to move, from the general fund to the general funds.
All right. Well, I have to be honest and say that my capacity for looking at numbers has been exceeded.
Hmm. Me too.
Sounds like everybody wants to do something else.
I
Mhm.
appreciate everybody's willingness to meet again. That will be very helpful to me.
Yeah.
After we did our little webinar where we learned sort of the questions to ask and the things to be looking at, it made it much easier. I feel like I understand a lot better. But I also, it just, raises more questions. So I need some time, as Anna said, and I think getting Marty to give us some clarification and just hear what he's thinking would be really helpful.
Yep, sounds
I
good.
just keep trying to think, is there anybody else? Are there any other department heads that we should be inviting? We don't want anyone to feel like left out. Like that Marty got a special opportunity that they didn't get.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe we could just let them know that we're having an extra meeting to work out some of questions and answers and talk about some of the capital projects, and if they want to come.
Good idea.
I would be glad to extend that opportunity to all department heads. I send it
And I
to
think-
them all anyway, so.
I
Mhm.
think, Sally, just so I don't want anyone to feel like they need to come if they don't have something, so they have to sit there and just listen to it all. But if someone does have something they want to speak to or ask
Mhm.
about. Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Sally,
Well,
Yeah.
as always.
Can I connect with you quick, just about getting people together?
Yeah,
Do you want to stay on this or do you want me to call you?
why don't you just call?
Okay.
Because, or I don't care, Sally, you can make me host,
okay.
or one of us.
Need a
We have
motion.
to, like,
at the end of the
Oh.
meeting.
so moved.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
aye.
You are now host.
Now you can stop.
Okay, and we're gonna stop recording. I can
Recording.
do that.
Thank you.
All right.